Hello, everybody. Today, we have a bit of a different video. I'm here with Ethan, our lovely CEO and Refold, this is brainchild. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been up to. So, specifically, Ethan, what have we been up to and what are we looking forward to in the future?
So Refold's about 3.5 years old now, and literally since day one, people have been telling us that we need to build an app, and I'm excited to announce that we're building an app. Huzzah! It's really tempting to build apps early on, build software early on, but I didn't really have a clear idea of what we should build, what would actually be most valuable to learners. There's 10,000 language learning apps out there. What were we going to do that was actually going to be different or better than all of those? And what we've realized over the past 3 years is that even though there's tons and tons of tools for learning languages, there's not a lot of tools out there for helping you build healthy habits for language learning. So the amount of time that you spend with a language, the number of days that you show up to learn, those are the key factors for whether you're successful or not. How much time you're spending, whether you're spending it on the right things, and if you're showing up every day to do it. And so we really wanted to focus on building a tool that would help learners build the healthy, sustainable habits for language learning that would actually allow them to achieve their goals.
That sounds awesome. I know that I'm very excited about seeing this app and using it. It's already been great internally. But what are we exactly aiming for? Just saying a healthy habits doesn't really paint the picture that I think that we have. So what do you see as being the end goal, the future version of this app that is going to make it the best language learning app out there?
Yeah, so right now in the language learning process, you have to make a ton of decisions for yourself. The Refold roadmap is really a guide for how to create your own plan, your own solution for language learning using all of the various tools out there. And what we want to do is make it much more streamlined. Right now, you have to learn all of these meta learning ideas and knowledge before you even jump into the language learning. And we really want to reverse that. We want to make sure that people can show up and start learning the language immediately, but that they are spending their time on the right things at different points in the process. So in the future, what we're aiming for is you open our app or you open our website, we quickly quiz you about the languages you're learning, how much you've learned so far, we understand where you are in the process, and then we give you a set of instructions of here are the daily habits that you should be building in order to help you get to the next level. And as we guide you through that process, we modify your daily plan to make sure that you're always improving and you're always getting to the next level that you want to achieve.
So basically, we're trying to make an app that really helps users spend all of their time actually learning the language and not having to figure out how to learn the language.
And what that means, in order for us to do that effectively, there's two main things that we need to measure. The first is how are you spending your time, how much effort you're putting in, and how much time you're putting in. And then the second is what is your actual progress with the language. So we're starting with that effort tracking because that's really the core of making sure that you're building sustainable habits. But then these sustainable habits are only valuable if you're actually making progress. So the next phase is going to be actual language assessment built into the app so that it guides you. It will measure your ability and guide you to the right path. We can tell you whether you're on track and whether you're doing whether your improvement is as we would expect it compared to everybody else in our system. And if it's not, then we can help tweak what you're doing to make it more effective.
Great. So can we see a little bit of the app?
Yeah, let's do a quick demo. As a disclaimer, everything in this UI is subject to change. We already have a lot of ideas that we're planning to improve about it. So don't take the current iteration as the truth. It may look completely different by the time it's in your hand. Cool, so this is the home screen of the app. This is my account. So the way that we've structured it is you have your daily goals that you're trying to accomplish with different targets that you're trying to hit. And the idea here is, for me personally, I'm working a lot on output, doing production Anki cards, pronunciation practice, reading aloud, chorusing, etc. Output, writing, and speaking. And then standard immersion is everything else.
So these are the 4 things that you're trying to do every day as part of your language learning.
But if I wanted to configure a different one, there's a whole list of them that I could scroll through. So let's say I wanted to focus on the interactive listening, I could configure that as a goal. And the daily minimum is set for you. You don't have control over that, but I could set a daily target of, say, 15 minutes. I can set that as a 15-minute target for the day, save that as a goal. We just created this interactive listening daily goal. Our targets are 5 minutes for checking the box and 15 minutes is our actual target. And it's just one activity that we could do, but there are many different things that you could do. And we will be adding more details into the app later of what you can actually do to accomplish interactive listening. But for now, it's pretty basic. You just have the category. And to start it, you can either start as stopwatch or a timer, or you can just do a manual entry. So I'm just going to do a test here.
So this test could be something like intensively listening to a TV show, which I have a tutorial on, or something like that, right?
Exactly. And from there, I can say I put in 5 minutes of time. And now it'll show up in my action history. And it'll also check the box for the day.
Oh, great. So you've now achieved your basic goal. Your next step would be then to try to get the 15 minutes, right?
Exactly.
And what's that above there? That hit rate percentage. What is that little number?
Yeah, we're going to be changing the name of that soon because hit rate isn't a well-known concept. But this is essentially how strong your habit is. So you want your habit strength to be around 80% to 100%. You can see that mine are all pretty low right now. I have some work to do to build them up because my habits are not very strong, especially because I was on vacation last week and I didn't do anything for all of vacation. This shows you how strong your habits are, basically saying over the past 6 weeks, how often have you actually done this thing?
Great. And so can you see an overall view of what you've been doing?
Yeah, so we've got this reporting tab here. You can see that my overall hit rate is much higher because it includes everything that I could possibly be doing, not just my goals. The total amount of time that I've spent so far in the app. You can see that a lot of mine is low attention listening, which is something that I do all the time, but it is not included in my goals, which is why my hit rate is very high for all activities, but not for my actual daily goals.
Great. And so it looks like you have almost 91 hours of total time with the language. And down below, almost 20 hours of output, plus all of the input above. And so then I see that there's one more tab down there at the bottom that we haven't really looked at, which is the social tab. What's that?
Yeah, so this is the social tab. We know that community is a really important motivator for language learning, or really for any goal. And language learning can be quite lonesome when we're doing it at home in front of our computers. We really prioritize community through our Discord community. And we really want to bring that right into the application so that you can make friends and build your sense of community of learners that you can collaborate with and compete with. Right now, this is simply a list of everything that everyone in the community has done. So Luna is a member of our team. You can see what she's done here, and then her action feed as well. In the future, we'll be adding friend features so that you can add people and limit what you see in the feed, and then also groups so that people can join together to work on specific activities, whether that's reading a book or watching a show together.
That's awesome. Looks like it's going to be a great way to connect with other learners while also really pushing yourself forward in your language learning.
Yeah, so the app is still in development, which means there's definitely some rough edges around it, but don't worry, we're rapidly improving it. And if you sign up for the waitlist, you can actually tell us when you want to be included in the round of testers. So for people who are willing to put up with a few bugs here and there, a few rough edges, you can get in pretty soon. If you want to wait until it's much more polished and much cleaner, you can wait until our phase 3 or phase 4 launches. So you tell us when you want to be part of this project. We're happy to have you when you're ready. Thanks so much for walking through this little tour with us. We really look forward to getting you in on the app.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for showing us around, Ethan. This is very exciting, and I know that I am personally very excited to start using the app, and I look forward to seeing you all out there on the leaderboards. Oh, and as always, happy immersing. You want to say it too? It's kind of fun.
Happy immersing.
I'm here to drop some knowledge, listen up with your ears. I got a language learning method, gonna make it crystal clear. It's called Refold, the game changer, gonna blow your mind. Immerse yourself in media.